So if you found this video, it's probably because you either follow me, you're into VR, or you happen to search on YouTube for the Kimura Duo. So in this short video, I'm going to give you my thoughts after having this on loan for a couple of months and what I think about it for seated VR and for playing 2D games. So about a year ago, I got in touch with Antlion, who make this headset, and that's because I've been using their mod mic probably for about 3 years now for a lot of the wireless VR streams and content creation that I do. And overall, I'd say this is a really excellent microphone. Any content creator that does VR has probably either considered getting one of these or has one of these already. So despite being very good, I was interested to see what this new Kimura headset was like, and that was about a year ago. I reached out to them to say, do you have any you could send me out to test out, because I do a lot of VR stuff. And at the time they didn't have any, but they came back into stock about 3 months ago. And about 2 months ago, they asked me would I like to try the Duo, Kimura Duo. There is a Kimura Solo. So the Duo and the Solo basically relates to the number of speakers, if you want to call them that. So I think they call it an armature and a driver. So it's a bit like a two-way speaker. The Duo costs a bit more, and they do a cheaper entry-level one. I'll look at the prices in a minute. The Solo's a single driver and it's targeted more for gaming, as this one it boasts it's got extra clarity and it's good for like listening to music and that kind of thing. So yeah, I said, well, send me the Duo, because it was about the same price point as my new wireless headset, which is the Corsair Virtuoso, which is £165 I think I paid, and I believe this is about the same price. So I said, yeah, you should send me one of those, I'll try it out. So I've been using this now for a couple of months. I've been using it a lot on my live streams with Lincoln when we do our F123 racing or any of the longer sessions. And the reason I was particularly interested in it is because it is wired. It has a 3.5mm jack, so I can plug it straight into my GoXLR, and the fact that it's in ear and it's got this separate mic attached on the side means it's very lightweight, and it's great for VR in the fact that it's got small footprint and you're going to keep cool. So if you play a lot of VR, you probably know you get hot in these things. And if I could just find a VR headset, if I just demonstrate with the Quest 2, the unique selling point for me was the fact that I could be live streaming, talking on Discord. I can jump into VR, play, and then if I want a quick break, I can take it off, and I've still got my mic and headphones. So although a lot of the VR headsets, such as Quest 2, have mic and headphones built in, as soon as you take them off, you lose that ability to talk to whoever's on Discord and the audio. So that's why some people, you see them, they're just constantly in the headset for the stream. So I wanted something that was separate. So again, like I say, I could use it with the GoXLR. Now, I'd say I'm definitely not an audiophile, but for this review, I thought I'd do a couple of different things. First of all, I'll give you my thoughts on how it performs with music. So I'll just jump into the music comparison. I only listened to a couple of tracks, like back to back on all three of these. So one of them was like a Enya Caribbean Blue, and that's not because I'm really into Enya, but I know that track has a lot of different instruments in it, and a lot of bass warping in and out, and loads of different things to listen to. So it really gives a headphone a good test and makes you see what you can pick out or you can't. So with the Kimuras, I found it sounded actually very good. I could pick out like the church bells in that track very easily, unlike the Corsair, which don't sound great at all. They sound pretty awful, to be honest, when it comes to music, but these sounded really good. A lot more brighter than the Shure's, which sound, as they're supposed to, quite neutral. These are very bright sounding, so I guess that's something to keep in mind. If you don't like really bright, clear audio, you prefer more, I guess, warmth and bass, then maybe these ones aren't for you, and you should probably look at the Solos, which are cheaper and just have the single driver. But I actually really enjoyed them, and they've had enough time to bed in. So that's the thing with headphones. I don't know if it's necessarily the case these days, but it always used to be that headphones take a bit of use to sort of get bedded in to give you like the best possible sound. So I've been using these for a couple of months now, and to me they actually sounded really good when listening to music. So definite thumbs up for me on that front. So the next track that I tested was Massive Attack's Angel, I think it was, which is one that's got really heavy bass. So that's a really good track to test out the bass on your headphones. And actually the Corsairs didn't sound too bad for that, probably because it is a sort of bassy headphone, and if you're playing, I don't know, 2D first person shooters, I'll come to gaming in a bit, but I'll mention now since we're talking about it, I think bass can be good if you want that real like atmospheric heavy machine gun with a lot of thump going on, but not necessarily great if you want to pick out footsteps and things like that. But for this track, that was quite bass heavy. You know, if you listen to a lot of bassy tracks, then I'd say these were okay. I mean, they have bass, they're quite punchy, but it's not like really heavy warm bass. Sounded quite similar to the Bose, I think. There wasn't that much difference between the two. Probably because they do have a very similar sort of sound, it's just these seem brighter than these. So yeah, there you go, that's my thoughts on a bassy track. In terms of gaming, I played some COD Modern Warfare 2 and also 6 Days in Fallujah quite a bit, just to give me an idea of what it was like playing a first-person shooter. And I found the positional audio was actually pretty good. I don't play a lot of first-person shooters these days, but I did find them, you know, quite good for first-person shooting. So next I decided to test out the PlayStation 5, and I used the little Y splitter that comes with it. I've probably shown on the B-roll, it does come with a little case and 6 other earbuds that you can use with different sizes. So there's a little Y splitter here, the microphone jack and the headphone jack goes into this, and then this can go into the PlayStation 5 controller directly. It picks up the audio, did the mic test, all works fine, audio sounded good. Then after testing the controller, I tried the headset with the PSVR2. Now, this does have some earbuds that ship with it and a built-in microphone, but if you wish to stream, for example, and you don't want to use the built-in streaming mode, you have a separate capture card, you're going to need a separate microphone to pick up the audio. So in this particular use case, I found it worked very well. You can just plonk this on your head, no problem. You can even have the headphones going straight to your mixer, which is what I'd normally do. But if you don't have that, you can just plug the headphones directly into the back of the PSVR2 here. And I did a back-to-back comparison this time with the earbuds that ship with the PSVR2, some Sony PULSE headphones, and the Corsair headphones over the top. And actually, I did try these out as well as a complete comparison. So in terms of how they sounded, the difference between all 4 of them, the earbuds actually that come with this sound okay. The Pulse 3D ones, I really don't like them. I think they sounded really like muddy. I have played around with the built-in equalizer, and that, to be fair, that headset does have a bunch of other features which is handy, like switching the balance of the audio and the chat built into it. But in terms of sound quality, I just didn't really like how they sounded. I felt the built-in ones were much better. But then once I switched to these, the jump in sound quality was actually quite substantial, and what I could pick out in terms of the car engine sounds. So I was driving the M4, I'll put a video up if I haven't already behind me, and you could hear the turbo spooling up really clearly, and when I was behind the Ferrari, the whiz and crackle of the exhaust note sounded really good in these headphones. In fact, it sounded better than I was expecting it, compared to the Shures that I'd also tried. So these were actually really good with the PlayStation VR2. So if you're a Gran Turismo player and you play seated VR, then I can definitely recommend them for this scenario, which might be a quite niche situation. But yeah, I was really impressed with how well they sounded, and it just added to the experience. So these were still number one, then I'd say these next, then the Corsairs. Well, the Corsairs and the earbuds probably quite similar. These are more bassy but more muddy. These are actually a bit clearer still than these. And then the Sony PULSE right at the bottom. So to sum up, should you get a pair of these? Well, it's a tough one because audio is really down to personal preference. I found these are quite bright. I'd say neutral to bright sounding rather than muddy and warm and bassy. Whether you like that kind of thing, I don't know. But for my personal taste, listening to music and things like that, I actually really enjoyed using them. If you prefer more bassy stuff and you're not that into listening to that much music with them, then maybe the cheaper solo ones would be for you. In terms of use for seated VR, I think it's great that I can use it directly with my mixer, and I can just pop a VR headset on and off and use it for content creation. Whether that scenario is useful to you, I don't know, but even if you're like a 2D gamer, not having to have something on your head for ages and keeping cool is actually quite nice. So in terms of comfort, these are definitely very good. I'd say after about 3 hours, I can feel it in my ears. Like that. Although they're a nice comfy fit now, after about 3 hours, if your head gets hot, you will start to think, I could probably do with taking them out now. But that's going to vary person to person. They are a bit bigger than the Shure in-ear monitors that I have used for many hours as well. And also the interesting thing is you can just buy the microphone stem on its own and connect your own in-ear monitors if you have to them. So I know people that use these professionally get them molded to their exact ears. So that's also another option. You may have some in-ear monitors already and you just want to use the microphone. So in terms of what the microphone sounds like, I've done this whole video using it. You'll just have to take my word for it. This is what it sounds like with a GoXLR. If you don't have a mixer, you can either use the onboard sound on your PC, but keep in mind the quality of the audio and the microphone are only going to sound as good as the onboard sound on your PC. So you can pick up USB adapters like this, which are like a mini sound card, and I believe Antlion do one themselves. I don't know how much it is. I think it's about £15, which they rate, but I've not tried it. I have tried my own little one, and that seemed to work well. But obviously I've got the mixer, so I don't need to. Alright, hope that video was useful to someone. If you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.